I am plugged in to my Les Paul traditional through these couple pedals. I'm using one of the One Spot Pro power supplies. I love it. It's got 12 power channels on it. It's really nice. It's very, very quiet. And I'm just running into my Princeton Reverb on very, very clean, as you can hear. All right, so let's start with this first one. Obviously, Blues Driver is going to be my overdrive. So that's what that sounds like. So let's hear what fuzz into an overdrive sounds like. This specific fuzz is a Creepy Fingers fuzz face circuit. So here we go. So that's pretty killer. Super woofy. I love it. All right, now let's hear what that fuzz sounds like after the overdrive. So there's definitely a lot more mid-range when you have a fuzz face, or really any fuzz after an overdrive, I've found. It's got more mids. It's almost acts more like a high gain kind of thing as opposed to just completely woofy and like bassy and subby. For me, I much prefer the other way around. I love any kind of fuzz into an overdrive pedal. And think of it like this. A fuzz into an overdriven amp is magic. So a fuzz into an overdrive pedal, which is acting as an overdriven amp, is going to be awesome. You can't go wrong. All right, next up, we're going to try a little overdrive into delay. So this is how I do it. I do this recording. I do it live all the time. I always have delay as my second to last effect. Last being a reverb pedal, for sure. And let's hear what this sounds like. So obviously very Gilmore-y, you know, that's going to be the classic delay sounds that we're all used to whenever delay is after overdrive. So let's hear those same exact settings on both pedals, but delay into your overdrive. So whenever you have the delay after the overdrive, the delay is going to be way more extreme. Because think about it like this. You're overdriving two signals. So it's going to be super extreme. It's good for like, you know, super crazy, wacky kind of sounds. Like if I was to do this, get more of like a psychedelic kind of thing. Almost gives it like an analog delay kind of vibe. This is because this is just a digital delay. I do prefer the delay being after my overdrive pedals. I always like the delay to be clean and not distorting as much as the first original guitar tone. Similar to the last little demonstration with the delay, let's try it with reverb. You're going to hear kind of the same effects. So overdrive into reverb, one of my favorite things ever. Let's hear just the overdrive. I love it. This is 90% of my live sound, these two pedals right here. Blues Driver into Holy Grail. I love the Holy Grail. I use it on the Hall setting and the knob right about where it is, except for when we get a little bit crazier, I'll bump it up. Killer pedal. So now let's hear what they sound like reversed. Okay, I absolutely love that. And in fact, I have used these two pedals in that order recording a couple times. It's such a killer sound running your reverb into an overdrive pedal, even a fuzz pedal, or just an overdriven amp. I love it. It makes the reverb so exciting and splashy and surfy. Yeah, think Dick Dale meets Roy Buchanan meets Insane Chaos. Yeah, that's sick. I love that a lot. Live, it's always the other way around. Overdrive, and then reverb is always dead last before my amp. Again, another 90% of my sound live is these two pedals. I would say I could do every show for the rest of my life with this wah, a Blues Driver, and my Holy Grail reverb, and that's it. Why don't I do that? Because that's no fun. And, you know, I got to have my fuzzes. I got to have some delay every now and then. But if I had to, I could do it with those three pedals. So, hey, let's check out wah into overdrive. So this is a classic sound. Everybody knows. So that's a standard right there, wah into overdrive, or really wah into fuzz. I always have wah as my first thing on my board, no matter what. I will show you guys an example of something that I've been digging lately in a little bit, but let's talk about these two pedals real quick. So the reason why I like wah into overdrive is because you can get those cocked wah sounds. So that's possible because this is just a filter. This is sweeping the actual EQ curve of your guitar. It's not so much boosting frequencies as it's taking away other frequencies. So as you're doing this and it's running into overdrive or fuzz or distortion, it's just going to accent those frequencies that the wah is allowing it to poke through. I hope I'm explaining that correctly. If I'm not, let me get a message. But that's kind of how I see it. You know, if you have like a EQ curve, you're like watching the filter sweep up and down. That's what that's doing. So anyway, wah and overdrive. Let's flip them, see what they sound like. So that is really, really groovy. It's basically cutting a lot of your bass and also cutting a lot of treble wherever the sweep on the wah is. Check this out. So here, it's cutting a lot of treble, and then when you go all the way toe, it's cutting like all the bass. And because of that, because what's happening is your overdriven tone is going straight into this filter. And if you were to sweep that curve, as you sweep it more towards the toe, it's only focusing on the higher mids and it's cutting all the bass. So that's why the other way around, it retains your low end, even with those cocked wah sounds, even with it all the way on the toe. It's because it's running through this overdrive. So live, I like them flipped. But I mean, this is really cool. Think if I played in like a reggae band, maybe I would try it that way. Since we're on the topic of wah with the overdrive, I want to show you guys something that I'm actually going to be adding to my live setup. Instead of the overdrive before the wah, what I'm thinking about doing live is having my Germanium Creepy Fingers fuzz face the very, very first thing on my pedal board. And then immediately after having my wah and then all the rest of my pedals that I normally use. And the reason is because I really love the sound that the fuzz into the wah creates. So here's your fuzz. Now I'm going to play some wah with it. That's the cool sound. I like the fuzz face way better in front of the wah than I did the blues driver in front of the wah. It's just more exciting. It's doing better things with the filters, I think. And plus, it just so happens to work out because with any pedal order, you got to kind of pay attention to where your fuzz is. You know, if it's a silicon fuzz or like a big muff, you have more leeway. But this is a germanium fuzz, and germanium fuzzes really like to be first because of how they react to your guitar's volume knob. So here's full blast, well, on my volume knob, neck pickup, and I just turned it down a little. It's so clean, see? That's just my volume knob on my Les Paul. Hey, real quick before we continue, check this out. So this is like the complete opposite order of what should be happening, but it's a super psychedelic thing to do. Delay into fuzz into wah. And listen how when I do the wah, it kind of tames the repeats from the delay. That's pretty cool. So this is set to a pretty high feedback delay sound, and it's getting just super blown out from the fuzz behind it. But then the wah, if you want to hear the repeats a lot, you just turn the wah all the way toe down. And if you want to kind of hear the repeats less, then you focus more on the heel. Octave into overdrive or overdrive into octave. I actually don't know which one I like better. Let's hear it. Same exact settings, but reversed. Interesting. Totally different. I think if I was using this pedal with a band, I would have it super octave into the blues driver, so the octave first, as more of like a, hey, I'm using an octave pedal kind of effect. If I was playing in a band where it was just me and a drummer, I would have blues driver into super octave, so the setup that you see now, just to add bass. Because think about it, with the super octave running into the blues driver, how it was before, the blues driver is actually going to cut some of that bass. Imagine a bass guitar running into an overdriven amp. And then now, how it is now, it's going to be, you know, an overdriven sound, and then you're almost adding bass to that sound. So the bass is going to be clean. It's going to be full. You know, there's not going to be lower harmonic distortion cutting any of that bass. I think both have their own place. Leave in the comments specifically about this pairing, which one you guys like. I think if I was to use it for All Them Witches, I would flip-flop it as you see it now. I would do the octave into the blues driver. man, so these two pedals right here, this is probably my new absolute favorite pairing, Blues Driver and Tube Screamer. All right, first let's hear it with the Blues Driver into the Tube Screamer. This is actually not how I have it set up live. Live, I have Tube Screamer and a Blues Driver. We'll get there. This is just how I set it up. So sorry. That's a Tube Screamer off, Tube Screamer on. So I gotta be honest, I'm not crazy about that. It kind of gets rid of the main thing that I like about the Blues Driver, which is the extremely detailed high end. It's almost over exaggerated. And when you turn on the Tube Screamer, it's like it cuts a lot of the lows and it cuts a lot of the highs and just focuses on the mids. And it's kind of like a cool fuzz effect. See, I bet with a Strat that would sound unreal. Let's move on to how I have them set up live, which is Tube Screamer into Blues Driver. All right, so my logic behind this, having the Tube Screamer go into the Blues Driver, was think about metal guys. They're always using Tube Screamers into high gain amplifiers. So my theory was, yeah, the Blues Driver is sort of like my, quote, high gain amplifier. Tube Screamer off now. I feel cheated that I didn't do that 10 years ago with these two pedals. It's like a second channel on an amp. Yeah, this is a killer combination. I love it like this. It just makes the Blues Driver do a bluesier, drivery sound. Let's check out some phaser. I like phaser before my overdrive. I like them after fuzz, but I like them before overdrive. So let's hear it. Chewy. All right, here they are flipped now. I think this is how most people set it up. it makes it way, way too extreme. Keep doing what you're doing if you like your phaser after your fuzzes or your overdrives, but I really, really like it before. It just sounds vintage. It sounds almost kind of Univibe-y. Just makes it chewy. I like it the other way. But I have friends who like their phaser after all that other shit. Sean from King Buffalo, one of my best friends, but you know, he likes his phaser after his overdrives. Yeah, please try it the other way too. It's really cool. Vintagey, chewy goodness. All right, another kind of thing that we got here. Let's try a little overdrive in the chorus. So as many of you know, I'm not a big chorus guy, but when I do use one, it's always kind of like a fast, rotary sounding chorus. And I use this chorus ensemble. Hey, let's hear how it sounds before. Yeah, I'm not crazy about that. I like it after overdrive for sure. It's chimier. It just sounds better. But hey, real quick, before I take this off the board, I'm going to turn the overdrive off and just play you this chorus setting that I have. It's kind of Leslie-ish, but hey, there's a hack you can do with really any chorus that has two outputs, where one of the output is your dry signal and one is the affected chorusing signal. So watch this. I'm going to take just a dummy guitar cable, just a patch cable, and I'm going to plug it into output B. And what that's doing is it's just going to be sending a dummy signal of your dry signal, and then output A is getting sent to the amp as normal, but it's just the affected signal. So watch what it does. It turns it into a vibrato. I'll take that dummy cable out. And now it's a chorus again. Pretty cool hack there. How about some Univibe into Overdrive? This is a classic pairing right here. So if you want to sound like Hendrix or Robin Trower, I would go Univibe into Fuzz or Overdrive. Let's hear what they sound like flip-flopped. That is drastically different and completely awful. So if you've been struggling with your Univibe or Rotovibe-ish sounding pedals, try it before your Overdrive or Fuzz. I do use a volume pedal sometimes for recording. If it's a little too hard for me to get to my volume knobs for like swells and things like that, and if I just want to cut the signal in between notes easier. I also like them, for those pedal steel kind of swells or like a bunch of delay and reverb. It's very rare that I will use one. I just have this cheap Boss one that I like. It's like metal feeling. It's sturdy. But there's two things you can do. So here's the Overdrive. So with the volume pedal after, you're just turning down the overdriven tone. So that's good if you just want to turn down, you don't want the tone to change or the amount of distortion. You just want to turn it down. Put your overdrive before your volume pedal. That's cool. Let's try it the other way. Here we go. So with the volume before the blues driver, it cleans it up beautifully. I think if I was a volume pedal guy or used a volume pedal live, honestly, I think I would have it after the overdrive just so I could have kind of a different vibe of volume swells, because I use my volume knobs to do what this setup is doing anyway. See, I'm just riding the volume knob. And I think it would be cool for like ethereal swells and kind of like dreamscapey stuff to have this after your fuzz and overdrive and then going into your reverbs and delays. That would be really cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, let's check out some reverb and delay. I use reverb and delay exactly like this setup. So I always have my delay into the reverb. The reason behind that is because I like everything to be getting affected by the reverb. Reverb is always the last thing. I want my entire signal to be verbed out. So this is how it is. Also, with your delay before your reverb, it's going to be the cleanest delay signal. And I like it because the delayed repeats are getting verbed as well. And let me make this extreme so you can kind of hear that. So every repeat is running through the verb again. I like that. I would never use a delay that long, but that was just an example. Let's hear these flip-flopped. what's happening there is the delays are getting softened by the reverb going into it. So the reverbed out guitar is then getting delayed. So it's kind of washy. I mean, it would probably be great for like ambient stuff. I've never really played around with reverb into delay. But anyway, hey, that was it. That was a lot of different pedal pairings. I hope you guys dug it. Make sure to play around with all of these different pedal combinations. It's really cool. Like, the crazier stuff that you guys can find out, the better. Also, if there's a pairing that I did not do that you recommend that I do, let me know, because I'm always down to try rad stuff. Anyway, cheers, guys. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video.